Okay, welcome Abraar to the show. I'm glad to have you here. We had first met, like many of the guests I've had here, at a tech networking event in the city. And what struck me was your fun attitude. Like you're always making jokes, which is good in the startup world to always have a good sense of humor. But yeah, welcome to the show. I know you're working on a lot of different. So you're more in the venture cap area than starting your own company right now, or that's what you have the most experience with is the venture cap area. So rather than talking about startup experience, we'll focus on that. And yeah, but before we dive into that, do you mind just telling me a bit about yourself? What led up to this point? How did you end up in New York? How did you get up into the venture cap area?
Yeah. So I started in a rock band. I was a vocalist, and I loved having fun, building songs, and like doing things which I'm passionate about. But with time, I realized that it's not gonna get me paid. So I was like, okay, fuck it. Like somebody has to pay the bills. And I hated this idea of you work 5 days a week or 6 days a week and you just get 1 or 2 days off. And I was like, this is slavery, like I'm never gonna conform to this or do this. So I ended up joining a startup. And guess what? They actually understood my feelings that I don't want this 2 or 1 day holiday thing. So they made all the 7 days the working day.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I was like, what the fuck? I mean, why did I even sign up for this? But then, startups are so intense. So these guys were a service startup. They were building products for other industries. So within a day, you kind of meet like 3, 4 different industries, and they all these industries they think differently. Their numbers work differently. Their psychology works differently, and even within the industry, like there are changes how they operate, how they make decisions. And I was like, things should be so simple, and why is it so complicated? And I spent some time with them. I understood that, different things require a different kind of attention and different kind of SOP to operate. So I was like, I got used to the grind and I got addicted to the grind. And I liked the idea of grinding 7 days a week. And I didn't like the idea of holidays. I started despising corporate people for having weekends off because I couldn't get my updates through to my clients. And sometimes you have these clients who just have an automated mail is like, hey, I've gone for a vacation from this to this, and I will get back to you if it's urgent. And you're like, I just want to do my job and move on. Like, why don't you just take my update and approve it and let me go and do some other stuff. So after some point, I realized that I can do things by myself. Like I did work with a consultancy firm and they started sending me for training corporates. I was hardly like 21-year old and I was in like a Japanese kind of company like who make parts for Suzuki and big bikes and automobiles and stuff. And the
And where are
20-year
you
old
living at
guy.
that point?
Hmm?
Where are you living at that point?
I was in India back then. So like
Okay,
this
gotcha,
this whole
gotcha.
this whole
Yeah.
tragedy happened in India. So this guy comes out to me and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come and give a lecture?" And he gives a night's notice. And I was like, I'm gonna say yes and I'm gonna go. And I went there, I delivered the lecture. Then I was like, okay, so what if I'm 21 years old and people like the room is filled with 30s and 40s years old. I'm building so many products within a week that these guys don't even build in a year because in startup you get paid only after you deliver. You don't have a standard paycheck and you have less bureaucracy and you're pissed off with the bureaucracy of these big companies and you don't give a damn about like, making mistakes. But these big companies, they have like $1 billion in P&L. And even if they make a small mistake, they will end up becoming the headlines of the national television. So there are so many, so many, like so much guardrails and so much compliances and all the stuff. It was funny, it was pissed off, but after some time I decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do my own thing. And I actually had this good contract for around 40 grand. So that's when I decided I want to start my startup because, I don't come from a very well-off family. So okay, I have this contract, so let me go and build my fancy office. When you're a first-time entrepreneur, you are the stupidest shit out there. Okay. The first thing that came to my mind was like, how do I look good? I need an office. I didn't care about like, getting good employees or like, getting a good marketing funnel. I was like, I need a good office. So I talked myself into getting a very fancy corporate office. And I started spending a month building that office with all the designs and stuff. And it's like my business partner, he went behind me and he stole this 40 grand contract and, basically fucked me over.
Oh man, that's
And
rough.
like, I'm building stuff in my office. I was like, I'm going to spend like, 10 grand in my office and I'm going to get 40 grand. So I'm 30 grand plus. I work every day, so I don't have any
Yes, it sounds
expenses.
like your business partner might have been the office contractor. I don't
Yeah.
know. He
So
might have spent 40 grand. Yeah.
exactly. I had a completely different plan. He had a completely different plan. And the project was mine, the client was mine, but he was from the local area. He was a North Indian guy. I'm a South Indian guy. So he leveraged that and he fucked me over and he fucked himself over because the 40 grand project suddenly became like 5 grand once he entered the building. And I was really frustrated, depressed. I was like, oh, I did a very big mistake. I have so much like, I have to pay so much overhead and so much expenses. Maybe it's not too early to consider this as a sunk cost and like, just like get away from this. I already had like job opportunities from Fortune 100 companies, like who are like 200-year-old, like, really good salary. But then I was like, I had some really stupid people around me and they were like, no, you are meant to do this. And I was like, holy god damn. You always have this first movers. They don't give a damn that you're doing stupid things, but then they are like, we feel something inside us saying that you're going the right way, but nobody in the gang knows which way is the right way. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go and do this. I don't care. So I went and did my startup for around 4 years, and we actually broke even by around 6 months. We kind of scaled it to around like 41 employees and bootstrapped. No
Oh, nice.
zero investment, 41 employees, totally like we had a break even moment in 6 months. And we have so many projects lined up. We had to reject projects. And the funniest part was like when I started out, I got backstabbed. I didn't have any project. I didn't know anything about sales or marketing and stuff. So I went to this friend of mine and he was a marketing guy. He had his own marketing company. I was like, hey, why don't you help me out and teach me marketing and stuff? I don't know this stuff. Like, I know I can build stuff. And when you build stuff, when you're a developer, you think you have this huge God complex, you have this huge ego. Everyone has to bow down to you and lick your feet, and because you build products and you are like a god, like, but the market doesn't give a damn. Like, you can build stuff or you can't. They don't give a damn. All they give a damn about is, should we buy this thing from this guy? Do we feel right about it? And how many people are involved around the table? Do maximum of them, do they feel right about it? So especially when
And
you're
and
doing
sorry,
big deals.
what was the business? What was the product for this company?
So we were basically building products for other
Okay, so kind
startups.
of like a development like
Yeah,
consultancy
yeah,
or a
consultancy.
contractor. Yeah,
Exactly. Anyone who wants to build a product and has money, we are like, we will do it.
there you go.
We
Yeah.
didn't even give a damn which industry, what product, digital, physical, mechatronics. We were ready to do everything because we had good connections with like researchers from Indian Institute of Technology, IITs, who are like, they're so damn good when it comes to like, like science and engineering and stuff. So we had like really good like workforce and we had really good connections because we were building products for other people all the time because we didn't have any, that secret, that, that crazy pain point that we want to solve. And we didn't understand about this venture business or raising money. We were like, people suck at building product. We can build product, so we can shake hands over there. And we worked with really good Fortune 100 companies and stuff. But actually, the pivoting point was like, I sucked. I didn't have any clients for a couple of months. I asked this marketing guy, help me out. What he did was he took me and he said, hey, you have to pay me. I was like, if I had money, I wouldn't ask you. I would ask someone else. Okay, you are my friend. That's why I'm asking you. So
Yeah,
what he
yeah.
said was like, bro, I need money to do this, but let's do. He made a deal with me. He was like, I have this political campaigning, like with few politicians back in India, and if you can come and like help me out, I can teach you how to do marketing. And I was like, I hated politics, and I had a family member who was like, parliament. He was a member of
Oh, okay.
parliament, and so high ego, high like like big egos. And I was like, hey, I don't want to do this, but you're saying that you're going to pay me and you're going to teach me. This is wonderful. Why don't I do that? So I put down my ego because when you have so much on your, like, head, you are like, your ego comes down. You are like, I'm ready to do anything. So I went there. I worked with him. I learned him how to do those stuff. Then after that, I brought in political projects for him. I headed a complete district, like, and we won by 14,000 votes. Like, I was heading the whole marketing project. I was like, but damn, I'm good at this. Finally, I'm good at something. But then my focus has always been like, I want to do engineering products, mechatronics related stuff, tell products. So we had certain government projects that was going on. Like, so all these things came after this marketing stunt. Like, I learned everything. I deployed these tactics back in my business. And suddenly there was a huge surge in, the like leads that we had. We started building, we were like oversubscribed, like we had so many clients we weren't able to handle, and we had to give it around in our network, like, and it was going really, really good. And we kind of scaled the company, but then at one point COVID came and it was like, fuck you, man. Like,
Oh
just
man.
when we had break even, like 2 months, 3 months down the lane, it was like COVID. And I still remember like my parents saying like, you just have to give up your office because we were rented that. But I'd done so much work, so much artistic work inside. Like we had like literally furnitures which look like instruments because I'm a musician and I wanted to keep it
Uh,
artistic, alive. And and my partner was like, it's just a month, then things will get back to normal. The month became two, two became three, and it became a year. And I got so frustrated because I started bleeding cash and all the profits that I've made. I started burning them on the, employees. I started burning them on the
so
office.
so what do you think? Why was it that COVID shut things down? Because I would have thought that there's a lot of people still working on projects like opportunities related to COVID, responding to COVID with business ideas. Why do you think it slowed down so much?
So we had so much projects. So that like psychology is like build or reach out. And if you have a corporate, you have separate teams doing that. But we were a startup and we were doing both. So once we were oversubscribed, we got comfortable with that build kind of psychology. We suddenly got lost at like we lost track of like reaching out. And as soon as COVID hit us, it was like, we had to relearn, like unlearn things and relearn new things. And we figured out we did have like, really good work during COVID too, from health. We had defense related work, we had health related work, we had certain, uh, construction related, like, machineries that we designed to. So it was not like it was dead. It was just like we have to put so much effort because the market was so noisy. So I used to get around like 300, 400 calls a week during COVID, a
Wow.
week. I'm not talking about mails, I'm talking about calls. And most of them were people reaching out to diversify their assets. I didn't understand anything about that. I was like, you tell me what to do, I will build it. I didn't know anything about finance. I didn't know about anything about diversification of asset. I didn't know about like people taking intelligence. I was like, tell me where to run, and I will be your best jockey. As simple as that. I'll build you products. So people, I even had this bizarre, I won't call it as bizarre. So China became suddenly became the scapegoat. Like people made China as the main main enemy, and they were like totally like boycotting China and stuff. And like in India, like we had like certain regulation passed where Chinese goods were boycotted, blah blah blah. So people wanted to shift manufacturing to India, and this guy out of nowhere, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, I want to build this mobile factory, and I know that you had some experience of doing stuff related to that, and you know, because we had done that for one more client in the past, where we made like a huge designed a huge factory to kind of like assemble mobiles and stuff. So it was like, how much is it gonna cost? And we were like, somewhere around like, like 100 million or 80 million, like, and he was like, okay, totally fine. Like, I'm ready to invest. Like,
And
let's go.
what currency is that in?
Like you can take it as dollars. So like I kind of quoted them in Indian rupees, but then in dollars, we quoted somewhere around 80 million, somewhere around that. And he was like,
Wow.
yeah, let's go. Let's do it. And I was like, not able to get out of my home. How the hell am I gonna build this huge thing, which involves a lot of like moving parts from not only from India, also outside of India.
So
So
he
the
wants you to
demand was,
build literally a some kind of manufacturing hub for you. You guys are a software
so
development
we
shop,
were a bunch of crazy engineers, bro. We were like bunch of
okay,
crazy engineers. We were pissed off with the status quo. We were pissed off with the big companies.
yeah,
We were like we felt like kind of outlaws, and like we just wanted to prove ourselves that we are better than everyone out there. And even most of our clients we had, they got stuck to us so badly because what took them 6 months, we did it within a month. We made
yeah,
things fast. And the way we used to do that is like we used to run the office 24/7. Like if a guy goes to sleep, another guy comes and sits, and like he starts like continuing where the other guy left at, production, like or like development or deployment. So we kept the chains moving, man. We kept it like very lean. We kept it like very fast. We knew there are a lot of people out there doing the same stuff that we did, and the only factor that we could differentiate ourselves is basically speed. And how we can have speed is to be very choosy about the client, because most times, even though you want to be fast, the clients don't want to move fast. Yeah, it's pretty slow, especially if you work with government contractors. It's like you're working with a dead horse. So you have to be very careful, like, which kind of guys you're going to work out with. And COVID was decent. I won't say it was bad, but we were not oversubscribed and we were bleeding money. We had to literally fire a lot of people. I even got death threats, because I fired a lot of people from, like, not even from my company, bro. From like, I used to help my clients recruit people, like, help them out as a, some kind of goodwill. And these random guys like who I used to help to get employed in those companies started coming after me, saying that you are responsible this. I have not
oh
spread
man,
any virus, bro. I have no, I'm not. I mean, I've worked
they
with
blamed you.
biotech.
They blamed you for COVID.
Yeah, they blame me for COVID
Oh
related
god,
stuff. And because the COVID lockdowns happened pretty late in India, it was too late when they started doing it. But the effects of that on businesses started happening very early, because the whole global supply chain got like, so chaotic way before the prime minister decided like, hey, we're just going to stop and sit down and like, figure out what the hell is going on. What's this virus? Like, am I going to die? Are you going to die? So, like, we have a really good like prime minister. I used to hate that guy when he came to the power because of the narratives and stuff. But he is a killer of a guy, you know. I mean, he does has reputation for like, like genocide or whatever. Well, I don't know, bro. I don't know about the tea regarding that. But whenever I came like in contact with people who worked with him, they told stories which were like totally fascinating. That guy is like an exemplary example of a leader. How he took off bureaucracy. He made sure like the lead time comes down, like people's life, like he made a lot of people's life easier so that businesses can move fast. He was like a pro-capitalist guy, and I like that kind of approach because you're trying to build like like $1 trillion economy, then you have to act like one, right? You have to like be fast. You have to like not tolerate bullshit. So COVID was good, but it was not great. It was very confusing, chaotic. It actually sucked the soul out of you because you don't know when things will get right. So this constant anxiety was actually like making my life miserable. I used to have panic attacks back then. Like, every day I used to have like panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and I used to smoke up to kind of calm my nerves down, like, or get drunk. And the weirdest part was like our relationship with our clients was so strong. They used to send us like, like boxes filled with alcohol and like, like, and it was like,
Those
at
are
one
good
point I
good
got,
clients. Yeah. You were
at
saying
one
before you pick good clients. I didn't realize how good you pick them.
I mean, we had very personal relationship with our clients. Like we used to go to their homes. Like that's how close we were. And weirdest part was like one point I got pissed off saying, "How are we getting drunk and high and there is no revenue coming?" And I had to literally shut everything down to get our shit together. But fast forward, we got out of COVID, we survived, and then again, like we were like reduced down to like 6 people again, and we were trying to build again things from scratch because now the whole world order has changed, like how we operated changed. Our success rate was high on a one-on-one meeting, and suddenly people don't want to meet you one-on-one. They want to do Zoom calls, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, like,
Okay, so that was a just that person to person relationship. That was a big change for you guys
yeah,
to the point where you had to. So what you were at around 40 employees, and then you had to slim down to six,
yeah,
just because
we
of
got
that
them
those
down to
person to
six.
person
Yeah,
relationships. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
And like I was like, okay, fine, let me do this. So we kept grinding, grinding, grinding. Then we logged on to some big projects with defense, especially that's when the Ukraine war was kind of like, getting momentum. And we wanted to build a lot of bulletproof jackets, like, bomb-proof jackets. We want to build a lot of landmine boots. We want to build safety products. We want to save lives. And we wanted to do that for a cause. And the defense loved that. Like our defense, they were very supportive. They liked that we were
This
young
is the
blood.
are these the Indian defense contractors or
Yeah.
the Indian government?
Indian, we directly worked with the Indian government. So,
Okay, gotcha.
so we used to design the IP, then they used to catch the contractors to manufacture it. So they were enthusiastic. Suddenly they can see young blood working without the bureaucracy of the like DRDO, like Defense Research, like Department of Research, like blah blah, whatever the fuck it is. They are slow, bro. They're slow.
Sure.
Like and it happens with government agencies, right? You have the sense of safety and security, and you're getting paid a standard check. So they were slow. The contractors, we didn't understand the contractors because we were like build, 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 build. We didn't understand much about how they operate. And what we understood was like there was so much paperwork and bureaucracy and things were going around, and suddenly this defense guys were like, why don't you become a contractor, because you guys have a genuine cause which you're building for, and you want to do good stuff. You're not doing this majorly for profit. And I was like, yeah, this sounds good. What we have to do? He was like, you just have to raise a couple of million. I was like, what? What raise what? And
That's
I
all, yeah.
didn't, yeah. So whenever someone says investor, I see a evil guy with two horns. like trying to suck your blood or like put you in some kind of like a gas chamber or whatnot. I have this government related job, like why don't you help me raise some money? He was like, yeah, I can help you raise money, but these guys have a lot of black money and they
And
want to
sorry,
invest.
who is this? It cut out a bit for me on my end. Who is this?
So I had a real estate friend who I reached out to raise money.
Okay, real estate friend.
And
Yeah.
yeah, he got an LP. Like he was like this. I have an LP. He has a lot of black money, and he has this shady stuff that he does. Like, and it was like sounds. And he was like, "You're absolutely right." And I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not gonna do this." I was like, I like whatever you think you manifested, right? So literally, I got a two-horned guy as an investor. I was like, "I'm not gonna do
Right,
this."
right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm let's just like scrap this off. Then suddenly I was like, I don't understand finance. I don't understand how these big businesses survive. They make a lot of losses, makes no sense. I make profit, but still it's tough for me to kind of like become rich, but they are super rich. What the hell is happening? So I decided, why people were like, you have to work in a big company. I was like, I already worked with a lot of them. They're a bunch of idiots. I mean, I'm not representing majority of them. There are really good people in corporates who want to change how things are like operated. But then right now, I understood that I was a stupid guy. I didn't understand the pressure that these guys were in. But I decided to take an MBA. Then an MBA at Stern, like you're sitting in Midtown in New York, and your exposure to like capitalism, and like New York is like the capital of capitalism. And I roam around, and like it's a claustrophobic place where you can meet a founder, investor, millionaire, billionaire, corporate champion. Like you can meet like a random like a joker, comedian, an artist. It's such a diverse place. It's like mind-boggling, like, and mind-blowing. It's
And
like
so, what's the main thing that made you move to New York? Was it just because you were trying to raise money? You decided to go to NYU, and that was the main idea, or did you always want to move to the U.S.?
I got stuck in a cycle, and I wanted to
Okay,
break out of that cycle. And that cycle was basically like a reach out, build, reach out, build, reach out, build. And this was not
right.
scaling. So service businesses are
I
tough to
see.
scale. That's why they're not venture backable. So I was like, I want to learn how things are done, and people were talking about this McKinsey BCG pain and stuff. And I was like, who are they,
Yeah.
bro? Like, who are they? Like, what do they do? Oh, they consult, and like I was like, I don't understand anything. So I came here, did my MBA. In the first semester, I was recruit. Like people were like, you have to choose something that you have to recruit for. And before I came to NYU Stern, the biggest change happened in my life. That was I was dating this girl, and all good things comes out of dating. Like, trust me, like if you want a positive change in your life, go and date a girl, like a good girl, a progressive, like good girl. So I was dating this really, really successful entrepreneur, and she was like, you have so much anxiety and panic attacks. You need to figure it out. And I was like, how? She was like, take meds for a year and you might stabilize it, or you try alternate therapy. And I was like, I've never been to therapy in my life. What do you mean by alternate therapy? What the hell are you talking about? And you're talking to a metalhead, right? Lamb of God, Slipknot, and my favorite song was like God Hates Us by Avenged Sevenfold. Like, what are you talking about? Like alternate therapy. And she was like, spirit, this, that. And I was like, the only spirit I know is like what I can have in my class. What are you talking about? I was like, nothing, nothing. If you can experiment, but I was head over heels for her. Not just like, romantically, I admired her because she was successfully running a business. So as a dumb fuck, I have to learn something from her. So I was like, I don't trust therapy, but I'm gonna learn it. So fuck it, I'm gonna learn it. So I find this very fascinating psychologist called Trupti Jain. She's from India. She's a very famous celebrity psychologist. She comes in national television. She had her own premiere on past life regression. Past
Huh.
life regression. Basically, she will hypnotize you so that you can see your past lives. I come from a Muslim background. And throughout my life, I've been told we have one life. You come here, you do well, you go to Jannah, and you get that uh, whatever number of virgins there are, what the, like in Hindi they say 32 hure or whatever it is. And or you do bad, you go to hell. That's it. Like there is no in between, nothing. And I was like, I don't subscribe to this idea. Like I don't believe in God, so fuck it. And suddenly this lady was like doing past life regression, and I was like, makes no sense. But I have so much anxiety. I was suffering every day. Even I used to do a lot of gym. I used to squat like what 170 kgs, and I used to like deadlift
Oh
like
wow.
165. And and I was like that strong, but still I used to have panic attacks and anxiety attacks every single day. So people who talk about getting physically healthy and jacked up for their mental health, it doesn't work that way, bro. It doesn't work that way at all. Trust me. It was more of a coping mechanism. So I was like, I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life, so let me go and do this to try this out. I went with an open heart, open mind. I went to that place. I was I was one of the two guys in the whole workshop. There were like 35 women or something like that, and most of them were all of them were in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and I was the only guy who was in his 20s. Actually, there was one more girl who was in her 20s. I was like, this is fascinating, and this is funny and fascinating. And like I met the psychologist a day before the workshop. She kind of went through my complete case study, and I told her my problems, and I literally started crying in front of her. Like I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need a way out. I tried everything. I had a dating coach. I had like what, like motivational coach. I had like random coach for random stuff. And even like that, nothing worked. Like I didn't go to therapy in my life. This is my first time.
And what do you
Uh,
think was the main cause of all the stress and anxiety? I mean, for me, it's the biggest thing is just if you're going to fail or you have deadlines, you're not, your product's not
hmm.
performing well. But for you, it sounded like you're doing good business in India with your dev contracting company. What was the main thing that was stressing you out?
Bro, like it's like it's simple physics. Okay, if you are hit by anything, then there is certain amount of stress and strain that is accumulated in any
Yeah,
body. So as a
sure.
human beings, we take hits not only physically, we take hits mentally, emotionally,
Yep.
energetically also you can transmute good and bad energy to people. There are even case studies of that, like sending positivity and seeing someone's performance without even communicating with them, sending negativity and seeing their performance without communicating with them, that like they kind of check the delta, and there was a quantifiable change between them. So it's like if you get hit, it is stored in your body, you have to release it. And it gets stored in your body if you have an identity. So if you believe that you have an identity, the ego, then you take the hits. But if you don't have an identity, like the saints, they try and some of them succeed in doing that, then you're like a water, like Bruce Lee. He's like,
I
I
see.
flow
I
like
see.
a
You give
water. I
up. You give
become,
up that ego, and then there's
yeah,
nothing there to hit. There's
yeah.
nothing there to
Everything
get hit.
everything kind of passes through you and goes the other way. It doesn't get stuck in your body. So how Bruce Lee was built, how monks are built, they work on getting into that like fluid state of ego where they have the most minimalistic ego. So I didn't understand any of this, but one book that fascinated me before coming to this was there was this book on archetypes called King, Warrior, Lover, Magician. It was on Jungian psychology. I used that Jungian psychology to go from working with a contractor to the government directly. So I was like, what the hell? It totally worked. The psychology stuff that's written in this book, I applied and it totally worked. I used to have that book right next to me in every call I used to do. I was experimenting. It worked. So that was like a push point for me saying there is something to this. So that's why I went to this workshop. If not, I wouldn't have probably gone for this. So I went
And
there.
what was that book? Just for someone who wants to try that out.
Yeah, it's called King, Warrior, Lover, Magician. So it talks
King,
about
warrior, lover, magician. Okay.
yeah, it talks about the mature masculine. There are masculine archetypes, and there are like feminine archetypes, and there are like child archetypes. And basically, if you have the right archetype at the right time, then you are basically winning. If you have the wrong archetype at the wrong time, like Elon Musk had the right archetype when he was backing, Musk and like doing whatever thing, but then he got into a fit with the president, right?
Yeah.
So he chose the wrong archetype. Like he didn't deal with that strategically. He could have done other ways to negotiate with the president and like cool things off, but he chose the wrong archetype and things spiraled down for him, right? But if he had been informed about how archetypes work and why do certain archetypes randomly pop out and make your life miserable? Like you kind of like end the relationship or end the contract with a vendor or whatever it is. It's usually because you bought in the wrong archetype. And sometimes it's good to end. And for that, you have to bring the right archetype too. So you can't say one archetype is superior over other, but you have to bring the right archetype at the right time. How do you know that? You just, take a wild guess. Like, you keep reading and you take a wild guess. That was my
Yeah.
approach back then. But I was like, I want to go deeper into this. So I went to the workshop in the foothills of Himalayas called Rishikesh. And it was very fascinating. I spent like, 12, 13 hours grinding every day for around a month. And basically, they started with inner child, and I went through a lot of cleansing. A lot of traumas came out. I released them. But then, this all sounds fancy. I was like, how do I close a deal or how do I end my anxiety attack? Let's talk about the main stuff. And gradually they were talking about like hypnotic suggestion, age regression. They were talking about how to use pendulum. I was like, I went totally bonkers when I saw the pendulum going on its own for the first time. I was like, how is it even going? Then they were like, body is a magnetic field, earth has a magnetic field, like blah, 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 blah. It's like, I was like, I'm so confused right now. And by the time they did past life regression, I was like, what the hell? Like she was doing live past life regression in front of me. And suddenly she was like, okay, all you guys go and you do it on each other. I was like, what? Is she mad? And I was like, okay, let's go and do it. Then I literally went, and basically what I did was like I kind of like chose to become the sacrifice, like to like I didn't want to do it on someone. I wanted it to be done on me. Like, and she
Mm.
told me something. She was like, the moderator was like, do not ask for stuff like I want to know the purpose of my life or I want to know my past. Like, do something that is quantifiable, a recurring problem like anxiety attacks, panic attacks, or some kind of like, skin disease or anything, relationship problems. Choose something which is quantifiable and do your regression on top of that. So I was like, I'm an asshole, right? So I was like, I want to know because you have when you have ego, you don't want to like, become that vulnerable. I thought that was masculine, but that was me being a pussy, not being able to be vulnerable. People think them not being vulnerable is actually masculine. I think that it's the stupidest thing that you can do because being vulnerable shows a trait that you are like, strong. You are very strong.
It's a
That's the
lot
kind of
tougher
person.
to do it. Yeah, usually the tougher
Yeah.
things are you know what people are known what people would consider to be masculine. So not that men and women aren't both can't both be tough, but yeah, no, it's a lot tougher to be vulnerable. But yeah, this is amazing so far. I mean, I feel good about myself when I'm on my own startup journey when I'm just making a list of things that make me happy. But you've gone what I thought was going to be a trip to a psychiatrist instead is a whole spiritual journey back into India at the foothills of the Himalayas, which is just incredible. So so yeah, please continue on. So you try it on yourself, and then what happens from there?
So the first thing is like you have to generate some energy, and how you generate is like you let go of certain things that you're holding on to. So I had some really vulnerable stuff that I couldn't discuss in the open, but I discussed with a female friend that I met over there in the garden, and I started crying, crying, crying. Then I went into regression. I was like, I want to know the purpose of this life because I'm so done. Like, I'm so done. Like, I don't want to do this. And she was like, okay, let's do that. And the moderator strictly told us not to do that. And suddenly I close my eyes. She takes me to regression. She takes me back, and like suddenly I'm looking at this really crazy monk, Indian monk, a saint, and he looked so intense. The look was so intense. He had this like bowl full of water where they do some kind of rituals where they pour water from a bowl into the land. Like they basically like pour the water from a bowl. And I was like, that guy was like standing like in a surrounded by all this icy hills and
Yeah,
standing on top of water. I don't know how deep that water is. Is he floating? Is he Jesus? I have no
right.
clue. I got scared, bro. I got scared. Like, what the hell am I seeing? Because he had all this kind of like like rudraksh. The rudraksh is basically a seed where people use for chanting and stuff. He had it all around his body. He had all this. He looked crazy, man. I got scared. I came out, and she got so pissed off. She was like, Abrar, I have so much experience in this field, and you are my first client for past life, and you basically got out. Why did you get out? You hurt my ego. And I was like, bro, I got scared, man. I got scared. I wanted to know a purpose. I didn't want to see a random saint or monk, whatever it is. And I didn't know why did I see that. I later came to know that actually it was me. I was a like, very crazy, hardcore monk in the Himalayas. And I was doing all this kind of spiritual practices to kind of break free from the matrix. And unfortunately, I failed. And the funny part was like what my guru said to me later when I met my guru was like, I badmouth Muslims when I was a monk, Hindu monk, and I badmouth people with money. Now I'm born in a Muslim family trying to be a capitalist. Spoiler, like, it's like, holy fuck,
Oh,
dude.
so it just clicking for me. So you're saying that you were literally basically the idea is that you were seeing yourself in a past life. You were a monk. You were the one
Yeah.
standing on the water, and then so that's the whole point of this. This what do you call it? Regressive or
Well, it's called a regression. It's called past
regression,
life.
right? Past
Regression,
life
they do
regression.
age
Yeah.
regression. This age regression is called past life regression because they take you to past lives. And I didn't subscribe to this idea yet. So
Yeah.
I came out and she was pissed off. She told, I'm not gonna do it on you. Then I met this really good friend over there, the other guy, the only I mean three guys out of which he was one of actually I think there were 4 or 5 guys, I think. But we were the young guys, other were uncles, okay. So he was like, I'm gonna do it on you. And I was like, okay, let's go. And I was like, I wanna know the purpose. And he was like, oh, shut up. Tell me something which is, which is quantifiable. What are you talking about? Bullshit. I was like, okay, let's go. I have anxiety and panic attacks. I have a problem with my parents because my parents didn't subscribe to this idea when they came to know that I'm going to stuff like this. They gave me every bad word in the dictionary. And I was like, okay, I have a problem with my parents and I have anxiety and panic attacks. Let's go, let's do it. Then I go through the regression for an hour, and that hour feels like literally days in regression, where I saw three of my lives. And I basically found the root cause of my anxiety and panic attack. I found the root cause of my problem with my father and other family members. And I was like dumbfounded because I thought my mind created those kind of images. And like, basically I'm projecting stuff to compensate like what the problems that I have. So I was a hunter, I was a fisherman, and I saw myself as some I was also in between, like, lives, like, I saw something angelic, divine stuff. Like, I also did some, my a few shift over there in that realm. Like, I just punched my card few times over there. I was really
Okay. Yeah.
pissed off. I was really pissed off with everything that was going in Earth because I saw really gory things that was happening in my own life after I exited. I wanted to, kind of like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, I have to come again to understand. So then I was like, fast, like, that's a huge story, like the three lives. But fast forward, I was like, I wake up, I was like, I was like, what the hell is going on? And I don't believe in this, but looks so real. The next day, I wake up at around 4 o'clock in the morning and I get a call from my parents. They were like, they started asking sorry to me. I was like, why are you asking sorry to me? What did I do? They were like, sorry, we told a lot of wrong things to you, blah, 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 blah. Both my father and mother started like apologizing, and they started acting nice. I was like, this is weird. This is new. I told that to the moderator, and she was like, you did it, right? So it's working out. Then a day goes, no panic attacks. A week goes, no panic attacks. A month goes, no panic or anxiety attacks. It's been 3 years. I don't even remember what panic or anxiety attack feels like. And that change that actually destroyed the whole belief system that I've been ingrained since a child. Like it's like this, it's like that, and blah 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 blah. And I was like, I came back. I was doing my startup thing. I was like, I want to go back. I want to understand what the hell is actually going on, what actually happened. So I went back. I took a lot of patience because I became a certified practitioner. So I took a lot of clients. Some of them are from US, some of them are from Europe, some of them are from India, and all of them saw their past lives, and whatever the root causes they had, they eliminated it. They found the root causes, they dissolved it, and those problems stopped happening because I kept a track of them. And I was like, it it can be a fluke once or twice. How can it be fluke for like more than 30 times, right? And I was
So
like,
so
okay,
wait, so you're still in India. You become now a practitioner of
yeah.
these regressions. And did someone teach you how to guide people through that, or did you just
So
copy?
so
Yeah.
the whole course was to actually learn. I didn't believe in this, so
Okay.
I didn't want to
Okay.
go
Yeah.
and sit on the patient seat. And I
Yeah.
strongly believe, like, look, like if you don't believe in something, go and try it out, do it out, and understand what exactly is happening. Then you will know the parts which are right, the parts which are wrong, like the parts which turned out to be true, the parts which turned out to be false. Because that's how I believe. Unless you try something, you can't like speculate, right? So I tried it. I got an out from my anxiety and panic attacks. I did it on other people. They got so much benefit out of it. 100% hit rate, which is like wild. Even like modern medicine doesn't have a 100% hit rate. And
Yeah.
but
If
I
you're
had a
talking
very
in terms of startups, 100% click through rate, that's pretty good.
hey, it was crazy, man. I went back again, and this time I was like, I started crying every day. Like,
Uh,
I used to go to all the temples around in Rishikesh in Himalayas. And Rishikesh is called as the foothill of the Himalayas and the basically like the capital of yoga. So because some of the most revered yogis spend their time in Rishikesh. So I went to all these good places. I explored. No, it was not explored. Like I asked question. Like I need disclosure. What the hell is going on? I need disclosure. I'm not able to understand. I don't believe in anything. I don't want to read any books. I want to experience. I want to learn. I want to evolve. What is going on? Like in my life, like outside of my life. Like what the hell is God? Like what the hell is all this energy? Blah 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 blah. I want to experience them. I want a guru. I want a guru. And most of it's like marketed, fake ass stuff. I became a sound healing master from a fake ass, like, institute. It's manufactures like people. I was like, nah, this is not it. I was like, I need to get deeper. Like, so I started going to temples when they did the rituals and started manifesting. I need my guru. And randomly I hit into a studio where I meet this bearded guy, like, wearing jeans and t-shirt, very modern. I was like, he's one of those, like, modern, like spiritual, whatever he is, like,
right. Right.
And I saw past life regression and all this stuff like tarot, like blah, 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 Vastu, like, family constellation. I was like, I know a lot about past life regression. So maybe I can, like, go and challenge this guy on a debate and stuff. Maybe I can learn more, or I can, like, appreciate my ego. I went there, I started debating with him. He was such a humble guy. He was like, so nice. he answered my questions, and he was like, we just work on the ego. All these courses are just excuses to actually work on the ego. And if you feel like you want to work on your ego, you can come over here. And I was like, this guy didn't, engage. He actually disengaged me. How did he do that? Like, this is a master like negotiator I see right
Yeah,
in front
he's
of me.
keeping that ego low. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, I went back and I called a bunch of people I met in the workshop who are like, psychics, and they do reading. And I was like, this is the guy. Yeah, do you guys think should I go to him? And they were like, he's the guy, he's gonna break you, and mold you. And I was like, okay, let me go and try. And started asking him, like, when you go, it's a mystic place. So you are like, show me something, do something, You're like that, like, poking stick on that, do something, do something. And he was like, what? Do what? Like, do not, like, just like we will go from like, parts to parts in the course. So I started doing Reiki. So, and Reiki was like you do using hand, using symbols. And when the symbols part came, he was like, so I bought sour grapes. They were very sour, and I was like, these are sour. So you talk a lot about energy, right? And you think we can make this into sweet grapes? And he was like, yeah, try it out, experiment. What else? What else can we do? Experiment. Then I started doing Reiki with that symbol and intention, and it was still sore. I was like, no, it's still sore. He was like, try again. Again tried. I was like, it was still sore. And this time he was like, you're not focused. Come align, like, stay aligned and try it again properly. So I aligned myself. Then I did it. Suddenly it started tasting sweet. I was like, am I hallucinating? Like, he said it's tasting sweet. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Next day I took the sour grapes. I didn't go to him. I did it outside the institute and I distributed to others, and they were like, it's so sweet. I was like, what the hell? It was so I was like, there is something about this. Something
Yeah.
is going on.
And so are you interpreting this as like some kind of spiritual way to think of things to I don't know, change the actual sweetness or sourness of the grapes, or do you think it's some kind of a psychological thing where you change your
I,
perspective and then because your brain just abstractly creates this world experience, you're able to change that abstraction into, from sour to sweet. Is it more like that, you think? Like what's your
so
perspective on it?
if I say that I know the exact answer, I'm lying. But
Because hey, how can we tell you?
yeah, but believe me, it was not just psychological, because why is it sweet to other people, random people walking on the road? They're like, it's sweet. I
Oh
asked them,
yeah.
like, I sat with them and I asked, like, how does it taste? They're like, it's sweet, it's good. I was like, what the hell? It was supposed to be sour. It's sweet to me, it's sweet to everyone. So we see visible in the light spectrum, we only see the visible spectrum. There is a huge spectrum outside of it that we don't see. So when you focus, when you put your intention, a lot of things going on. A lot of things is being transferred, like a data is being transferred, intentionality is being transferred. So in that process, the energy was so intense that, especially I used to do crazy stuff. Like I used to wake up 4:30 in the morning. I used to go and bathe in the Ganges. I used to do tree pose in between in a river, fast flowing river. And I used to chant 108 times, like,
Yeah.
and then I used to get out of the river. I used to sit in front of a shivling, which is like, like an energy portal inside the temple. I used to chant there for 5 6 hours, and I used to chant until I used to, disappear. I disappear, like nothing, out, completely out. I'm not sleeping, I'm aware, but I'm out. You understand what I'm saying? Meditative state. You're aware
Right.
what's happening around you, but you're not thinking about anything.
Yeah,
You're
was
out.
it kind of like a present feeling? I've done some meditation where you focus on your senses, the sounds around you, what your feet can feel, your hands can feel, and you're just you're letting the time pass. You're just focusing on the current moment.
Yeah.
Is it that kind of
So,
sensation or different than that?
so how do you have to look at meditation? It's like meditation, hypnosis, they're all the same thing. And you're basically tricking your mind so that the conscious part of mind, and there is a subconscious part of mind, and you have the reticular activating system, the questioning part, as a gatekeeper. You confuse the RAT, reticular activating system, and shut it down. How do you confuse it? Focus on this, focus on that, focus on your breath. Look, imagine this, like, do this, do that. And by the time you do 5 6 things, your conscious brain is like out. Poof, it's out.
Yeah.
Then you go into the subconscious mind. And once you get into the subconscious mind, it's like you go into the deeper waves, like you go from beta to alpha. Then the subconscious like starts at like, theta, like, alpha, somewhere it starts between alpha, like mid of alpha. Then like as you go into theta, like you are like into the sweet spot, or that's they call as like God conscious spot, like flow state or whatever it is. So basically I was chanting until my conscious mind gave up. And the intentionality was like Om Namah Shivaya, Om, the universe. And we also call ourselves like is a I am the universe. So when I say Om, I'm talking about me. Nama means I bow down. Shiva means true self. So I'm bowing down to my true self. So I'm bowing down to the ultimate truth. So I was like, I want to know the ultimate truth. I want to understand what's going on. So let me chant this. It's easy to do that. So I kept doing that for 5, 6 hours. I used to do that every day, and I kept doing on that. So I had so much energy that I gathered before I went to these classes. So it worked out. So I was like, this is crazy, dude. Like, what the hell is happening? And as I went deeper and deeper into Reiki, when I became Reiki master, they taught about like psychic surgery and stuff. And I figured, and I learned that my mom, someone has put a hex on my mom or black magic on my mom, and it was basically from my own family. So I learned how to undo that hex from my master. I did it. I undid it. And my mom was part of the process. She didn't know anything what's happening, but she literally saw something like a slime green color thing literally slip down her legs when her eyes were closed. I saw the exact same thing 2,500 kilometers away from her while I was doing the session online. I saw it from 2,500 kilometers,
Wow.
what she saw over there. So I got it out. I had so much entities inside me. Entities are like basically you can, they're like bad energies, or some people call them as ghost or whatever it is. I had them a lot. I took them out, and a lot of my mom had it, my sister had it, my grandmother had it. I took them all out, and our family dynamics was like we fought with each other. It was very confusing, but as soon as I worked on all this aspect, we started living together. We started living peacefully. A lot of things changed, and like my quality of life changed. The quality of my families, like they changed. But then I was still, I'm still stuck with my ancestors. I haven't worked on them yet. So I was like, I came from a guy who was in a metal band, atheist, and suddenly I'm doing this random ass stuff. And
Yeah,
I was,
what a transition. Yeah.
yeah.
And your family, I mean, you're trying these your what psychological surgery you're performing on them,
So
relieving
I do
these
theta
hexes. But they
meditation.
okay,
There is this
what's it
thing
called?
called theta meditation, Theta.
Theta
So
meditation?
yeah, theta meditation is basically like you go deeper into that deeper frequency, the God frequency, and you basically do prompt engineering over there. It's literally prompt engineering,
Yeah,
bro. And like, trust me, this whole life is prompt engineering, Like it might sound crazy, but everything is prompt engineering. And I used to go into
yeah,
the prompt engineering, like take this out, put this in, take this out, put this in. If I have the right energy and if it's the right time, like those things happen. If I try to do prematurely, those things won't happen because I was only taught the sattvic way or the clean way, where we do things while meditating or with our eyes open. We don't Some people do sacrifices and a lot of stuff like shady stuff like we I didn't learn any of that. I just learned how to do things with my mind, with like with my brain frequency and stuff. And I was like, whatever I could do, I did it till then. But then suddenly, like the crazy part was like, okay, I'm seeing all these things with my eyes closed. I still need disclosure, which is like I want to see things with my eyes open. That's the next thing, right? Once you start seeing this ghost, so my guru actually opened my third eye, and he
really.
doesn't consider himself as a guru. He considers himself as a master. So he opened my third eye. He used to ask me to do like close my eyes, do this, do that, and suddenly he opened my third eye, and I started seeing stuff like ghosts and like
Yeah,
gods and all this stuff. And I was like, the main job of the guru is actually to eliminate the projections and hallucinations so that you can get the right signal. And when you reach that right signal, and when you had your fill, he will be like, even this is an illusion. Even this life is an illusion. All the gods and ghosts, these are also illusion. The ultimate truth is that one thing through which you can see everything, through which you can understand everything, and you need no further explanation. That is the thing you have to reach towards. But like my capabilities was like, okay, I can see the gods, I can see, like, I've seen Buddhist, Hindu gods. I can, like, I've seen like few of them. I've seen a lot of ghosts. I see them everywhere in New York City, everywhere I go, even in the home, like
And
even
is
in
this
the.
just when you're walking along, or you have to get into a certain state of mind where you can see
So
these entities?
when you're a practitioner, you become sense. So it's like if I have my bag on my hand, if I put a feather, I won't be able to sense it, right? For that,
Right.
I have to remove the bag from my hand. I have to make myself light and sensitive. How did I do that? I I literally became a vegetarian. I was hardcore non-vegetarian. I was a gym guy, like I told you,
Yeah.
like 165 kgs, like deadlift. I want to get it to 170 somehow in 2 weeks. So I quit my non-veg. I quit my gym because my guru understood that it was my coping mechanism. So he said, no gym for you until you are mature enough to understand that you're doing it for your wellness and not a coping mechanism. I don't want you to do gym. So I quit gym and I quit alcohol. I quit all kind of substances. So I became like the sober, like, the holy grail of sobriety. And people were like, Abrar, what the fuck happened to you, man? And even when you're in that place, you can't, like, you can't cuss. And I love cussing. You can't cuss. So it's like so much work, so much control, and suddenly, like, you do those things, you respect them, you do what they're asking you to do. Listen, if someone is throwing a book at you and saying chapter 11, like verse 2, and you are like, what the hell do I have to do with this? Like, it's totally fine. But if someone is asking you to, like, quit something, or, like, sit somewhere and do something or experiment something, try and do it. Who knows, right? Who knows what you might uncover? I had the same mentality. So suddenly I started seeing all of them entities, like ghosts and gods, with my eyes closed at a meditative state, at a deeper meditative state. And since I do my chanting and meditation regularly, I'm mostly in my flow state. Like, I'm a free bird. Like, my core
Right. So
belief
you're
is to
kind of
become free.
living day to day now in that state, and
Somewhat. Like, I won't
so,
say, like,
yeah, not all the time.
yeah,
Right
yeah.
now, or no?
Right. I don't know, I don't have some thermometer to figure it out.
Yeah, sure, yeah,
Yeah. So
gotcha.
what was
But
like,
yeah, no, I was gonna say. So what time period is this all happening over? So you first went to India for your spiritual journey, and then you start uh, using your practices on other people, seeing these different entities. How long was this trip to India, and eventually, I guess, at what point did you come back to New York?
so I was in India back then, like, I had my business in Delhi, so I had to go to Rishikesh. It's like 3, 4 hours bus ride. And I was there. First time I went for a month for the past life regression training. And then second
Okay,
time I went for 4 months because this time I wanted to dig deeper. My
right.
people were running the businesses, they were managing it. Oh, that was total chaos. But then, all I wanted was like disclosure, like, because suddenly I'm like, I've stuck the holy grail. Like, what the hell is happening? So I started seeing all these things with my closed eyes. I was like, I'm not satisfied yet. If they're real, let me see them with the open eyes. So, like I told you, I used to meditate for 5, 6 hours inside the temple early morning, right? So I used to do this after, taking the bath in the river. So it's like it takes a lot. It does take some energy, and it's early morning. So 4:30, suddenly it's like 9, 10 o'clock. You get me, right? So it's like five, six
Yeah,
hours and you are like, I'm hungry. I need something to eat. And people come and place fruits on top of the shivling. Like, that's like an artifact which like Shiva devotees use for formless worship. Like it has different shapes. And I don't want to offend people, but even the Muslim monument, like the Kaaba, it also has something which looks like a shivling, a stone outside of it. So you don't have to call it as a like shivling. You can call it as an artifact where I can connect with the divine energy. Let's just call it that because I don't want to say something is superior to other or like every like the biggest lesson that I learned in my whole journey is like every religion at its core, it's true. It's perfect, it's true, and it's right. They have different ways of doing it, and doesn't mean that one is superior to other. Everything is right. If you want to follow something, it's good. So I was sitting and meditating. I was like, I'm so hungry. I need something to eat. I need something to eat. And suddenly I see this flash of light. It's a closed, room. Like it's a closed room. It's dark. So there is no chance that there is going to be any light inside. But suddenly I see like a white light, like a patch of white light on a banana, because I didn't want to disrespect and take the food, you know. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
so hungry, I need something, I need something. And suddenly I see this white light and I was like, what the hell? I took the banana, I ate it. Next day I came, I did the same thing, and it was Holi. And Holi is one of the craziest festival that's celebrated in India, especially in Rishikesh. Literally, ashrams are closed because that's how chaotic it gets. Like people become like, completely they let loose, they let loose,
Yeah.
and they have fun with all these colors and water. So I said, I don't know what am I seeing, all this white stuff. Like if there is something around me, yeah, I want to test it out. How am I going to test it out? I'm going to walk in between the market of Rishikesh, and I expect not a like dot of color or water on me. And I was wearing all white. If this happens, let's see. So I made that sankalp or affirmation before getting out, and I literally walked through the market. People were throwing sachets of water on each other from the building, from the sides, and I was walking in between the road, between all this chaos, and I completely walked through the market unscathed to the studio, and I went to my guru. I was like, it's like as if I have a Z security around me. What the hell is happening? And he was like, good, good, you know don't enjoy it in that way, and that is disrespectful. Like be respectful about those energies, whatever they are. Don't inflate your ego just because you experience something, or somehow. And suddenly I was like, okay, this is so cool. It's like Harry Potter and Hogwarts. It's just like instead of Hogwarts, it's Rishikesh, okay? And I lived in a building which was filled with a lot of yogis and yoga teachers, and suddenly, like, I kind of took a liking to this girl, a yoga teacher and something, and I was talking to her, and a little bit of flirty, and I was just having fun, pumping my ego, like I learned this, I learned that, I've done this, I've done that, and suddenly I kind of have this. I kind of start simmering my eyes and looking closely at her, and I see something in her face. I was like, "What the hell?" Then I went. She was the one who asked, like, "See, look at me and say, what do you see? What do you see?" So I was like, trying to pretend to look at something. Then I figured out what I was seeing basically was her ancestors. Then I figured out I was able to see ancestors. I was able to see ghosts and other things if it's inside a body. And if it's outside a body, I could see it in the form of a light, a patch of light around me. So it can be like over
Okay,
there
so
or
that
over
you
there.
mentioned that patch of white you were seeing before on the banana, different places.
Yeah,
That's the patch of white you're referring to. So when you look at it
yeah,
outside someone's body, that's how it
it
displays, and
looks
then
like. But if it's in the
inside.
body, I can look at how the ghost or ancestor looks like. So what I understood is like energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It transfers from one form to another. So let's say you exit the body, you have a certain frequency energy because it's energy, it's a ball of energy, and you have certain memories attached to it, like, oh, I need more money, or oh, I need more sex, more drugs, whatever it is, or I need more peace, or whatever it is, and you align with that kind of energy, and based on that energy you kind of get a kind of shape, like color, and basically you look like a ghost or a goddess or a god. So basically you can go up or down. It totally depends on your thoughts.
Okay.
And the work of a yogi is to actually exit the cycle of going up and down. I don't want to be a god. I don't want to be a demon or whatever it is. I want to get out. I'm done. So that's the work of a yogi. So I started seeing them, and I was like, holy shit, what is this? I went to my guru. I was like, I'm seeing this. And he was like, look at me and tell me, what do you see? I see it and I see nothing. It was empty. Then I look at my, he was like, look at the student next to me. Tell me, what do you see? Then I look at her. Then I see something else. Like, oh, like I see a guy with a beard. Like, and he was like, you're right, you're right. Wonderful, wonderful, very good. Because, you get these breakthroughs not only by listening to your master, you also put your extra work. Like that 4:30 thing I did, my master didn't prescribe me that. That was
Mm.
solely my own like doing. It came to me naturally. I did it. The Muslim guy standing in tree pose, the chanting a Hindu hymn in between a river, standing in a river, and trying to balance my body in that current. So I was like, okay, this is fine. I'm seeing ghosts. I want to see gods and goddess. Like I want to see the cool stuff. So after like 3, 4 months, when the end came, he basically took us on a tour, and he took us to this place called Gangotri, which is the abode of goddess Ganga. And goddess Ganga is said to purify the souls, and basically the river is considered to be goddess Ganga, and goddess Ganga's energies purifies the soul. She looks like a woman, whatever it is. And when I went to the temple, and so anywhere, my guru always says, an atheist who doesn't go to a temple is way safer than a theist who goes to temples or mosque, because they have no clue what the hell is inside that place. So a part of the most of my learning was like we used to go to places, sit in front of other saints and monks, and he used to ask me, my guru used to ask me, whatever he said, do you think it's right or wrong? Like because the guy is mentally ill, and this monk goes like, somebody did black magic on you, like that guy, go and slap him, And my guru is like, what do you think? Like whatever he said to him, is it true or false? And I just closed my eyes, I did a reading and said, no, I don't think so. And he said, yeah, I too don't think it's right. Like he's just making stuff up. So we used to go and like, question, like we used to experiment and question, look at other people. So we used to go to temples and we used to look. Some temples had some demons and whatnot, like inside. Some temples had like, divine entities inside them, like gods and goddesses. So I was like, as soon as I went to Gangotri, I was like, that's like the main temple of goddess Ganga. And I was like, I want to look what's inside. So I went into my theta meditation mode. I literally like, went to that waves, and I commanded, I want to see. I literally saw lions roaming around. Lion is associated with goddess Durga. It has nothing to do. I don't know. I'm an ignorant man. I don't know why the lions were there, but I didn't see any goddess Ganga. I didn't see any goddess. And my guru was like, "That's it. That's what you saw. You didn't see the guards who were standing outside." I was like, "What the hell?" So his range of vision is like so wide. And I was like, "I didn't see goddess Ganga over here." It's like the energy. It's coming from above. The portal is coming from above. And I was like, "I don't see her. Like I don't see her with my eyes closed." So the next day we wake up. We all stayed in the same room. So the one of the women, she was working on her prop issues. So she went to the temple. She gave offering of flowers and all this stuff. She prayed to successfully get it out of her system. Then we go back to the room and we started doing the theta meditation to get these things out. So she starts like high intention. She sits down and she starts doing it. And by that time, I eliminated all the entities from my body. I was like, I was floating. I was enjoying, best time of my life, because I literally had something in my back, which was like, if I don't do gymming, it's like my muscles in my back, they will start paining as if there is a hook over there. And I went and showed to like chiropractor and physiotherapist. Nobody was able to do anything. But once I exited all these entities, it disappeared. So lot of pain disappeared, lot of things disappeared. So I was like the happiest guy, on planet Earth. I was smiling. I was like, everything is beautiful. And this girl, she's working on her entities and like final one. And suddenly I was like, just sitting around, and like I started like looking closely in her, like randomly. Nobody asked me to do. Suddenly I literally saw this most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. She's not woman, she's a goddess, right? I've never seen hair locks as marvelous as that. No statue comes close to that beauty. No art rendition comes to that beauty. I was mind blown to what I was seeing. I was like, what the hell is going on? Then I asked my guru, what am I seeing? And he was like, shh, 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 shh. Don't tell it to her. Her ego will go up. Don't tell it to her. She's getting help, but don't tell it to her. Like, if you are able to see it, let's talk later. Then, so after having, then we came back and, then I decided, he gave me one option. Like, after seeing my progress, he was like, you see that cave on top of that mount, like, hill, you go there, we will bring you food 3 times a day. You don't get out. You just sit and meditate. You just keep chanting, or you go to New York. You don't talk about anything about becoming a celibate or a monk or blah, 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 what it is. I was like, okay, I'm going to New York. What? This is now my life. I'm just kidding, man. So I had so many desires. I didn't want to, exit the corporate world yet because I still had a lot of challenges that I want to face. So I decided, let's go to New York. And then I came to the MBA. People were like consulting,
Well,
banking, consulting. And I was like,
landing back down from that incredible spiritual journey. That's yeah, hard to even imagine. I've never experienced anything like that. But so okay, so you get back to New York, and is it right back to the venture cap world, the startup
oh,
world? How does it?
so the place where I spend my time is called Devbhumi. It means land of the gods. And if it's called as Devbhumi, I will call New York as Danav Bhumi, land of the demons.
Okay,
Because I literally found demonic entities in every train, almost every pub and bar. People were crawling. I was an MBA, so what do? We do pub crawling, right?
yeah.
That's what you fucking do. And first semester was like I was closely networking within my school, and people were like, getting me. And once I went through this process, I kind of considered myself as a superior being. I know a lot of stuff. I've experienced. I have to protect my, like peace. I have to protect my cleanliness. I wouldn't hug anyone. I wouldn't drink water from a glass someone else has drunk. I would always be wary of who I surround myself with. But I was getting fucked again and again because there were so much entities out there. And suddenly I got something inside me in a corporate presentation in my college. In a corporate presentation in my college is where I get attacked by an entity. What the fuck? Like it went inside. It took me a week to get it out. So, people don't understand this. They don't understand where I come from. They look at me like a weirdo because, I always talk about this because, you went through this huge transformation in your life where you spent like literally a semester, more than a semester working on something, learning something, and you are like, enthusiastic. You want to put it out to the world, like, to understand, hey, there's more to life. You know what? Like, because you're gonna die like in 30 or 40 years, then what? Like, there's more to life. Like, so I want to, like, people were like, some people were like weirdos, some people were like, what the fuck? Some people were like, okay, this guy is weird, but he's a cool guy.
So
But
I mean, you just went through this incredible awakening. You got rid of your anxiety, your pains. I mean, do you start to think, should I try to bring this to more people? Should that be my cause, the thing that I start over here in New York? Did that cross your mind, or
so
you still focus on more conventional businesses?
So my master doesn't even consider himself as a guru, and all the transformation I had, all the credibility goes to his blessings and blessings of his masters and gurus. When he himself doesn't consider him as a guru, how can I self-proclaim myself as a messiah or like some spiritual like voodoo shit? I'm a human being. I'm going through like stuff. I'm experiencing stuff, and it was never the plan. I didn't have the confidence or the plan to take it out to the world. But I would share like I'm sharing with you to a friend. I would share it with other people. People used to get scared. People used to get like a freak out like, what the fuck are you seeing around me? And like, you're like, something is standing over there. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, Abraar, Amy, please shut the fuck up. Like, what are you doing? And, like, I used to be that, that outlaw that people don't invite to any, like,
And sorry, how long ago was this? When did you get back to New York?
so I basically went to a short time to my hometown where I had like intense changes and experiences where I worked on my family and I went to really powerful temples. I literally saw black holes. And I literally saw black holes. Where I expected to find divine beings, I saw black holes. And I was like, okay, that's the destroyer for you. Because like there is a god, the Shiva's form was also called as the destroyer. And like, black holes, they eat the universe and they spit it out. That's how Big Bang theory works. That's how like conceptually like scientists have said. So I was like, it totally makes sense, but nothing makes sense. I don't understand shit. And 2023, like I'm in NYU Stern, and like one of the most reputed like places. It's one of the most diverse universities. Like they got a weirdo like me inside this place. Like MIT didn't want to take me because they were like, you work with defense, what the fuck, we don't want you. Stanford, the dean came and saw my LinkedIn. It was empty because in India, if you put things in your LinkedIn, people start digging and start poaching your employees. So I didn't put any project work, any client record, or anything like, hardcore. India is different, bro. You need a different kind of talent to survive in business in India because it's cutthroat, especially in Delhi, it's cutthroat. And you encounter a diverse set of people from the most intelligent and successful to the most and biggest scammers out there. You meet them all like, in a single place.
And
So
you find that those skills you learned over, I mean, in that cutthroat environment or that, vastly different framework that's over in India, do they apply over here, or has it been a complete, start from scratch, learn
like
the new ecosystem? Yeah.
I think any place you want to do or any new thing you want to do, it's good to unlearn and go with a humble mindset that, hey, I don't know, I want to learn. So that's how I approach NY, like, New York. NYU was like, go for banking or consulting. Banking hours were cruel. I was like, fuck no. So then it's consulting then. Yeah, let's go consulting. Then I just figured out that they get paid, hundreds of thousands of dollars for throwing a presentation. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? The fuck? I made some of the products which made up in like I have some of my products listed in Google Wikipedia, and I haven't got paid even 100,000, and they get paid hundreds of thousands for
Yeah.
throwing out
And
a
no,
PPT. I
no,
was
from what I've heard, what they often recommend, I mean, I haven't been in that industry, but they recommend to the managers, the high up managers, that the best thing that they can do is cut employees and raise salaries for the high up managers. So of course they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And so they're
I,
selling to to the people making the decision, not really for what's going to benefit the company.
I think it's like companies with billion-dollar P&Ls, they don't like taking much of a risk because their jobs are at stake, their stability is at stake. So they invite consultants as a to get input so that if something goes wrong, they can say, hey,
Yeah.
we got an EY or McKinsey that the board member suggested, and this was their suggestion, which we followed and went. So that's how they use them, right? And consultants, they don't have much of an asymmetric data. They work with symmetric data. So it makes no fucking sense. Like, why they get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, but then, hey, I like the hustle, bro, respect, bro,
Yeah, you got to respect it that they've created
Yeah,
an industry out of
yeah,
like, not knowing anything about whatever industry they're assisting with. So
yeah, yeah. But there are some really hardcore consultants too who knows ins and out of
yeah,
some
I imagine
industries.
there are good ones. Like I feel like if you're an expert in an area, you've spent like 40 years in it, you could be a good consultant in that industry. But if you're just a management consultant and you go into some industry that you've never even worked in before, I
I
mean,
have
there's
an
no way
MBA,
you can,
bro.
yeah. I mean, there's some
Your
outside,
your argument is invalid. I have an MBA, bro.
yeah, right. I wouldn't, it's over my head. I wouldn't know. I got to get that MBA.
I mean, the MBA teaches you a lot of things, but it doesn't teach much about the asymmetric, except certain adjunct professors. They teach you the asymmetric like information of what they are. They even help you to navigate to like get some asymmetric information. So that's the most important part when you're evaluating any kind of
Sorry,
simulation.
what do you mean by symmetric versus asymmetric information?
Symmetric is something that everyone has. And in private markets, you can't have, in public markets, you can't do insider trading, which is like asymmetric, like, proprietary information. But
I see.
in private markets,
Yeah.
we like it's completely legal to have asymmetric information, which is like insider information.
Right. So
So
asymmetric meaning that you have something or So there's
competitors don't have.
an ecosystem of competitors, and not everyone has the same information. That's
Yeah,
asymmetric, right?
yeah, that's asymmetric information. So like my challenge was like, how do I bring the tools that I've learned from my business, from Himalayas, and put together in this corporate, like, like capital of capitalism, the grandest place I can get down on, one of the greatest countries to kind of uplift like a lot of like lives out there, like, like they it's not a joke when they call that's something as an American dream. Like that means a lot to a lot of people, right? So I was here with my American dream, like, where I want to build stuff and do stuff. I was like stuck with this banking or consulting stuff. And I got like irritated. I was like, what? What you do that like just a PPT? You don't go inside and you don't like, work around with the companies employees and learn stuff like no, 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 we don't have that much time. I was like, what the fuck, bro? What do you do? We just got given data and we process it and we dash out like, a PPT and we do like expert calls and stuff, which was where they take their asymmetric data from, the expert calls that they have. Their network is so wide when it comes to like, top management and C-level executive. So I'm not saying consulting is bad. Consulting is really, really good. But for a guy like me who wants a fast-paced growth, I needed something which is which is hardcore. So I went to my guru again. I was like, I'm tired. I get attacked left, right, center. And he was like, you have to chill, you have to relax, you have to loosen up. You can't tighten up and say this is right and wrong. The more you think about right, wrong, good, bad, the more you get caught in duality, the more you will get attacked by the negativity or positivity. Like if you want if you're happy about getting positive stuff, then get ready to get depressed when you get the negative stuff because you're stuck in that cycle of good, bad, right, wrong, happy, sad. And he's like the best thing is to actually to be like, to just be. I'm neither happy nor sad. I'm neither walking or I'm not sitting. I'm just there. Like, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not even my fucking soul. I'm trying to figure out, I'm just there. And I was like, sounds fancy. But then I got punched again and again and again and again. And I was like, I gave up recruiting for consulting, banking. I didn't even try. I asked my guru, what should I do? And he goes like, he sees a list and he's like, this venture thing. And I was like, yeah, venture. I was like, venture capital, huh? This, do this. And he didn't know anything about venture capital. And to be honest, I didn't know shit about venture capital. For me, investor and startup is like, two horns. I've never met a VC investor when I was running my startup because I didn't know that, what is this world or it's dark, not that pretty dark as I assumed it to be. So I was like, I didn't know, but why is he saying this? So let me do it. If my guru says something, I'm gonna go and do it. And I did my reading, so it also came VC. Then I was like, let's do it. And people were like, you are a international student. They won't sponsor you. They want this. They want that. And he's like, and I'm like, I'm scared. I'm scared. Now I'm scared because I want to stay. I want to build something. I'm scared. And I was like, if my guru says I need to like, trust the process because I was the one who asked him for the suggestion and he basically gave me the suggestion and like, he never suggests anything to me. He doesn't like suggesting people. He doesn't suggest anyone anything. He doesn't say anyone to anything. Even the things I'm talking about, black magic and like entities, they all came up in the course I was doing. The Reiki and Theta meditation, they came up. And that's how I identified and he approved it. He didn't come and say to me like, hey, you have so and so thing inside you. I would have ran away on day one, right? Oh, he's a cool guy. So he's suggesting me this because he understood that I was really in a tough situation. So I was like, I'm going to do venture. And I was like, what's the procedure for recruiting for venture? He was like, there is no procedure. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I was like, you have to network, you have to know people and this, that. I'm like, I'm a complete nobody in New York. I don't have any track record in this place. I did have certain American clients back in India, but they are single digit numbers. They're big companies, but they are single digit numbers. So again, scratch. So I started going for networking sessions. Like first I attended one, second I attended two, three, four. At one point I was attending 4 to 5 events every day, and I used to attend my school too. And the market respected me as well, because once they start seeing you again and again, again and again, it's like, it's like that feeling where you don't even have to talk with each other. Like you kind of click, you have that feeling where you know each other like very, very deep. We don't have to talk, we know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got like deep into the New York ecosystem, and I learned most of the events that's happening was total garbage and shit, and I wasn't being intellectually stimulated, or I'm not meeting the right kind of people. And it was like so much noise, because so every day something is happening in New York, right? Something or the other. So I was like, I'm gonna use my skills from my spiritual thing. Then from 5 events, I started attending one event a day, like 2 or 3 events a week, because I used to do my reading and I used to be like, this is shit, this is shit. This one, I might I can go. This one, nah. This one, I might meet someone. So I used to pick out using those skills, and I used to go and I used to meet one or two very, very interesting people randomly in a crowded place, without any expectations. I used to always go. So I applied those skills and made some decent, like really, really, like, influential friends, like who are very nice to me. New York is a place where people respect hustle. People appreciate people who are trying to learn. People appreciate people who are trying to reach out, and they're very helpful. They help out each other. The ecosystem is really vibrant and cool over here. But the biggest problem about New York is there is too much happening, and not everyone can, figure out the noise. So I had these skills through which I figured out my noise, and suddenly I attend this online event for Max Pog. He's a very good, like, podcaster, and I met my first, like, investor there. It's called like basically Luke Robinson from Post Urban Ventures. He was like, you said that you worked with British Department of Defense, and like I want to know more about it. What's the process? Blah blah blah. So I told him, like, started talking more about the shitty parts, and he was like, "This guy is hardcore. He has done it." Because if you haven't done stuff, you would have, like, ChatGPT or Googled or said like step one step. But if you've done stuff, you will talk about the shitty parts.
Right,
Like,
you've been in the trenches, and
yeah,
you don't know what it's like
yeah.
unless you've been in it. So he knows that you're real. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So he identified in a very short, like, notice. He identified, he was like, look, kid, I'm gonna give you around $1 million to build your next company. And I was like, what the fuck? Am I a millionaire now? Should I count how it works? Then he gave me like like a kind of like a, term sheet. He gave me like, cap table. I didn't know shit about anything in VC or whatever it is. They're a venture studio. So they are like hardcore when it comes to deep tech. The founder is basically a PhD from Cambridge in quantum computing, worked in a hedge fund as a quant guy. Then he also did a second PhD from Oxford. So if you want to talk anything about AI, Luke Robinson will prefer to talk about AI and do AI than rather spend time with his wife. He's
okay.
obsessed. He's obsessed,
Okay,
and yeah, he's obsessed in the right way, and he's a super nice guy. He's a very genuine guy. He's a very kind soul, and he was the first guy who recognized the, like, the skills that I had, and I was like, okay, off to the roads, bro. We're gonna build something up now.
and so
Then look,
the $1 million that he gives you, that's what to invest into
no,
you.
no, to run my own company.
Oh, he's investing in you. You're not joining him to invest in stuff.
Yeah,
He's investing in
yeah.
you,
So
and
he invested in
you
me.
put something to him, or
So
what
I
happened?
didn't. So the trick is here. So in my summers, I had only this offer, like take the $1 million, build something up. And I decided to work for a like a NGO, non-profit NGO,
Yeah.
run by like a Ukrainian national, like called Richard. Richard is well connected. Like basically the board members were like Jack Shelby from PayPal Mafia, the managing director of Clee Capital, Howard, who worked with Jim Simons in Medallion Fund, and even Sean O'Sullivan from SOSV, super spiritual guy, and all these big guys, okay, like USAID, like the top dog from USAID. And they were talking about stuff about like, like impact investing and a lot of good things that I aligned with. And I got exposed to, first time in my life, I got exposed to a very super packed, effective network. And I asked them the right questions because I've been asking a lot of questions. I shot it down and I asked them the right questions. And what I learned after talking with them was like, money is a commodity. It's easily available for many people. If you know the right people, it's easily available. But getting to the start line is doable for most people. But getting to the finish line is tricky because for that you need a network, you need relationships, you need leverage, you need a vast amount of leverage, and you need a real, 360 degree, like, kind of like compact team, like, who can, like, who can, like, fuck shit up, like, like, who can, like, fuck the world, FTW, bro. And I was like, I completely get what he's saying because I've already done a startup, and I understood I was not ready. So I told my Luke, like, hey, look, man, like, these are the things I identified, these are the problems I identified, these are the versions I've kind of like, mutated, but I've hit the road. And I finally feel like unless I don't have that proper network, scaling this will be literally like, uh, uh, suffocating and scary. So let's not do it now. Let me build a network first. Like, so he said, okay, let's build a network. What do you want? And I said, like, maybe you can, like, have me as one of your employees, because I was basically targeting a product for the startups, like, giving insurance to startups. Like, what the fuck was I even thinking about? I was like, I'm gonna like rank the risk over there and like public markets. I'm gonna do private markets like that. People are doing that while there are companies who are doing that, and I respect the hustle, but then they're doing it the wrong way. We are
So
fucking it
sorry,
up.
sorry, explain that again. So this is insurance that I'm
So
not.
what my idea was basically was like if I can compute the risk of a startup because I've closely
Oh,
worked
I see.
with early stage and growth stage startups. So I can, if I, sure, people often overlook small capexes, but if you add all those capexes up, that forms a huge chunk. Private equities were interested, and I
Sorry,
looked at it
sorry,
as a
it cut out a bit there. Do you mind just going through that again?
so
Just
there are
about how the
websites
insurance.
who
Yeah,
list out startups for funding,
yeah.
right? Where angels can go and invest, or like whoever wants to invest can go and invest. And some people even allow non-accredited investors to invest. And my idea was like, this is highly bureaucratic and two-sided marketplace. I don't want to play with two-sided. I want to play with I want to have a leverage on one side. One side has to automatically come to me. How can I do that? So I was like, if I can populate the risk factor of a startup, and give it to the insurers and private equity people, they will be more than happy to invest in those startups and also pay us in between. And startups will be happy to pay us to list and like, go through this due diligence process. But then I understood that it's against the service model, bro, and it had to be hectic. It has to go through a lot of stuff, and I was like, "Fuck it, this is so complicated." So I was like, "I want to build a network." So he got me as a venture partner in Post Urban Ventures, and they invest in deep tech, like pre-product, pre-idea, and it's a venture studio. So they help you build the product too, and they have a very strong technical team. But the GTM is on you. They expect the GTM to come from your side. So I started networking. I met more people. I was at one point I was so down. I had like $2 in my wallet, and I was like, "Fuck!" I had no money. Nobody's paying me, and I can't even travel. Like I don't have money at all. But still, I found ways, and there were New York has really wonderful people. Like shout out to my friend Mache. Mache Popular. Yeah, Mache is a great friend. He gave me money when I needed money the most. Like I didn't have money to pay rent or buy food. I still remember at one point I got sick. I was sick for 2 months. I wasn't able to get out of my bed. I didn't have any money. I didn't have energy to cook anything. So Mache will come and drop food in the gate because if he comes, he will get infected.
He used to come and drop food in the like gate. He used to drop medicines in the gate. He used to send me money. And he was like super nice guy. Like, he's one of the most beautiful souls out there. He doesn't expect anything from people. If he feels like if he wants to do something good, he will do it. He's super nice guy.
Yeah.
So
But it helps a lot, especially you're doing something tough like starting a startup to have that good social network. And
yeah,
of course, there's the networking that you've been doing for the startup, to build your network, but it's good to have good friends like that as well. That's
yeah,
really important. But
yeah.
but so this deep tech, I mean, we were talking before about the consulting. It's tough to come into a company that you don't know where you don't know the industry and tell them how to operate in that industry. But so with deep tech, when you're investing in it, I mean, deep tech, we're talking about like the most technical types of startups that you could find.
Mm.
And how do you know, just going into you read a bit about this startup, you talk to some people, how do you know what to invest in if they're they've dug this deep hole into this technical niche? How could you possibly know?
I mean, I like my straight out answer would be like I don't know because I haven't done it.
Okay,
And
so
even
you're just getting
even
started with this now?
yeah. So if you ask me post-urban, they have a bunch of ideas. It's a studio model. So they validate those ideas through their network, and they basically look for CEOs who can build those ideas with them and go to market with them. Hazy is one of their portfolio companies. It's an enterprise software of Microsoft for synthetic data. So they have like great companies like BioLead. They're trying to mimic like testing like of cells and molecules that you do on animals can simulate them like using like AI models. So these guys are goddamn good at technical stuff. So they understand the feasibility of doing something, but when it comes to like the GTM, they do some research, but they expect most of the research to come from the founder. Like me, if I had said yes, if I had taken money, nobody knows. Like maximum possibilities, like I would have failed, right? So, but since I did my research, I went deep into that. I told them these are the crux, these are the leverages I needed to do that, and they were like totally fine. Good, because as a founder, it's your duty to say no when you're not ready because this is not free money. The VC is getting money from someone else. He has to pay like those people, and it's a huge circle that from which the money flows on. Like it can be like two step, three step, or multiple step. So it's good to say no, and I did the right choice by saying no. Like I'm happy I did that.
Yeah.
So I went and again I didn't understand a VC model. It was a venture studio model. So I did more research. I networked more and more and more and more. And suddenly like I was like I should help these guys raise capital. So I was networking a lot with family offices and like fund of funds. And at one point what happened was like I met a sports family office and like we vibed really well. Like there's really cool people. Like they are the coolest fund managers I know in my like till date. Like, they played in NFL and like, like super nice guys, super smart guys. They know what they're doing. They're go-getters and like shout out to 73 Holdings. So I got into that team and I worked like an intern for them for some time. Then they wanted me to promote to like the chief strategy officer for their fund. Basically, we were building out like investment thesis to
And sorry,
kind
what
of
kind of
invest in
company is this?
73 Holdings LLC.
Okay, and sorry, I'm not as familiar with the venture side of things. So what do they like? How would you classify them?
So they are a sports family office who are doing sports private equity. It's run by GPs who have been NFL players.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
So they basically invest in sports teams, they invest in sports capex like stadiums, and they invest in sports startups like, like innovative way of doing ACL surgery. They also invest in venture studios, VCs. So basically, they invest in a lot of things that they have conviction with, and their conviction usually comes from the network. Some things that they are expert in, they invest directly. Some things others are expert in, they listen to them and they co-invest with others. So they were raising around a $7 billion fund to invest in like a range of like portfolio, like New York Yankees, Golden State Warriors. Like there are a lot of allocations, like they're insiders. And the biggest pain point of sports private equity is like you don't get allocation that easily. That's the biggest hurdle. Like it's tough to get the allocations. So they had allocations. Most of their LPs were like multi billionaires who were interested to invest in that asset because it's a huge hedge against capital markets. Because you look at like, Mark Cuban, like basically he bought the team and sold it off and made a huge profit, right? And so like there are people who kind of like, make a lot of money out of this, and it's a good gig, but then you have to invest a lot and you have to wait for a decent amount of time for it to appreciate. And it's actually like it was also COVID proof. Like even in COVID, it started going up, it didn't go down.
Yeah,
And
yeah, no, since like as far back as ancient times, people have loved sports, so it's gonna be an industry that sticks around. Doesn't matter
yeah,
what
yeah,
what what AI does, people are gonna like sports. So yeah, that's a good area to be
yeah.
in. But so you've done this whole. You started off in New York, went on this big journey. You got you stabilized your mental mindset, came back, uh, tried out some different industries, the PE sports industry, deep tech. Do you find it all coalescing into like a certain direction that you want to head, or do you want to are you going to stay in venture cap, private equity, that area, or start your own thing?
So I worked with them for some time, and then I realized there was a huge uh like uh like culture clash. Like I came from a startup culture which was like intense and hardcore, but sports private equity is more like you have to be patient, you have to sit. And because the allocations come very early and they roll out pretty late, and like, it's a time-taking process and it's a very organic process. So they were doing it right, and but it didn't suit the pace at which I want to grow. So we decided to part ways. And then I started networking more and more and more and more. Like at one point I was like, literally frustrated because I wasn't understanding where I actually fit. Should I go be a founder, or should I do this venture studio thing, or should I do the private equity thing, or should I do the VC thing? And getting into VC was not a joke, and I was like down and out. I was also kind of like depressed, like because I was confused. And this is not Himalayas, bro. This is New York. It's
Yeah.
it's it's, it's fucked up. And And at one point, I called my guru. I was like, I just had a dream, and something says me that I have to do workshops, that I did in Himalayas, so that at least I stay in good, positive mood, good vibration. So I started doing workshops on Reiki, workshops on meditation, and the courses that we did, we charged, but we had like weekly kind of like, like events where anyone can drop for free, totally free. But the Reiki courses we did, the Theta meditation courses we did, the Vastu courses we did, we charged for them when we were teaching people something. But for sessions, online sessions, we didn't charge people. Like it was open to all. And I started getting some good, some some traction over there, and I was passionate about it. And
Yeah, I was gonna say
suddenly,
if it's good to do something that you're passionate about. I mean, from talking to you this past couple of hours, I mean, I would say definitely go with something to related to your spiritual journey and spread that. Or I don't know if it's too cheap to create an app that helps people guide people through it. I don't know if that's not the right way to do it, but yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's something there that seemed to really
yeah,
resonate.
there is a lot of thing there. The market out there is not fulfilling the mental wellness needs, because they have this mentality that just because you have an idea, you go and build an app, you go and raise money. And that is not right, right? First, if you have an idea, you have to validate it. Once you validate it, you have to try it on yourself. How is it working out for you? Is it working for you? How is it working for others? Test it out. That's why I did these workshops. Like, I wanted to understand, like, how is it affecting people's life? And people are different. Their mind is different. Their body structure is different. Their thoughts are different. The definition of kind for me is different from what kind is for you or to a third person. We are like different at all levels, like vocabulary, thoughts, like body, mind, everything is different from one another. But that is also like, all is one, one is all. Like we're all one, but like the beauty of us is like we're all unique and distinct. And I started looking at their patterns, like, people who are consistent, people who are not consistent. Why are they not consistent? What's like stopping them? What's stopping me from not being consistent? So I kept researching, like by doing these workshops, I started observing their patterns again and again, again and again. And at one point, like, I was like, I think I can build something around this, which actually like kind of like which I can inject into like people irrespective of their patterns and solve some of their core problems using AI. Now the next step was like I'm doing workshops. So next work, like should I raise money and like like should I just like like build an app or something like that? I was like, then few of my clients are actually GPs of VC fund. So there is one guy called David Chen. So he started out as an angel syndicate called Angel West. Now he's raising a fund to VC fund of $100 million. He has his anchor like close. Like he has like they almost have like the terms in their hands. And like basically he was like, Abrar, I messed up a lot in my angel investing time because I didn't double down on my wins. And I ended up losing more by investing everywhere rather than doubling down on my wins because I was just focused on the angel round. And this is not how we have to look at things. We have to look at things like how do I prorata? How do I like do further rounds and how do I allocate funds according to that?
Yeah, no, I
So
just think you cast a wide net, you get a diverse array of different whatever it is that you're trying, whether it's different products or
yeah,
case investments. You cast a wide net, relatively small investments, see what does very well, and then you double, triple, quadruple down on the things that
yeah,
do well, and that's a good way. You have a wide search
yeah,
pattern in the beginning, so you find the right places, and then you barrel down into those right places that you find. But
yeah.
but of course, it's always easier said than done. So
But then, like his idea was like he matured, but what he told me different was like, I'm gonna invest in conscious entrepreneurs. I was like, what the fuck?
what was it?
He was like, I'm gonna invest in conscious entrepreneurs. I was
Oh,
like, David,
conscious. Huh.
what are you even talking about? You and me, we are struggling ourselves with our balance. Like he learned Reiki from my master. Like, he was one of the guys
Okay,
who
yeah.
did the course. And he was like, Abrar, I think that like Steve Jobs did it. He went to the Himalayas. He learned how to get into flow state. He brought back those learnings. He implemented. He created a forever company. And I don't want to invest in uh like easy exits. I want to bet on people who are ready to build forever companies. And looking at the data, it's very well said. Like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and even JP Morgan, all these people, they used all the spiritual practices to get into flow state, to get help, and to build all this for our companies. And I was like, okay, I like the sound of this. And he was like, come and work with me, like, as an associate. Then I started working with him. Then like we built up a deck. Then like, we got one more person from a consulting firm, like very smart girl. And we have like two other GPs from San Francisco and Singapore. We want to do international investments because his expertise is cross-border investments. And I was like, this is something that is good, like cross-border. I can move around, explore, and
And,
conscious
and sorry, what's
entrepreneurs.
what's the main product idea for this venture?
So Angel West is agnostic. Our fund too is agnostic. We will fund anything like from
Okay, I see.
blockchain.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, from blockchain to biotech to tech and AI. For us, it's more about the founding team and like, their mindset. And we will also train them on how to get into flow state. So
Okay, so you're kind of combining the venture cap, the angel funding with the spiritual
yeah,
they learned over in India to try
yeah,
to and you would use that to assist the startup founders, like
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
get them
So
into
that's what
the mindset. Yeah.
David's vision is that. So David has partnered with some like neuroscientists. He has partnered up with some like, uh, guys who have doctorates in alternate medicine, guys who have doctorate in acupuncture, and he's trying to build a robust system with research papers and building a curriculum to help founders to tap into that flow state. And he wants to like invest on the person, the talent, because we want to do pre-seed, pre-product stuff, and it vibrated well with me. So I joined his team. Like, so I'm working with him right now. Like, I got promoted to like senior associate. But side by side, I'm doing my gig too. My gig, it's I want to have something which has nothing to do with money. I wanted to build something which has more to do about people searching for themselves, and like no pressure, like at their own pace. Because when you talk about financing, there is a pressure that's like that subtle pressure that you not subtle, it's a very obvious pressure where you have to outperform other competitors. That's why we are putting your money, we are training and stuff. But I'm building these workshops that I do, uh, which my GP attends, and other there are some other GPs who attend to, and there are some family offices who attend to, and basically I even have this event that I'm doing in Rishikesh in November, where I plan to take around 30 people. It's going to be based on application basis. We are going to filter people up because I had an outreach, word of mouth, no digital stuff, and I already like almost have like more than 20 people like who are ready to sign up. So
Great.
I'm gonna take this 30 people to Rishikesh, the foothills of Himalayas, where I had my spiritual awakening
Oh, okay,
and
so you guys
journey.
will actually do a trip together back to the
Yeah,
what's the name of that location in the foothills of the Himalayas?
it's called Rishikesh.
Rishikesh. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So the basic idea is like I want the New York or the capitalists or the founders over here to understand the culture of Himalayas. Like what does detachment means? Detachment doesn't mean that you give up everything. Detachment means you own things, but things don't own you. And how to identify signal from noise, how to get into flow state, and like how to work on sharpening your flow state. And why do monks do certain things? Why do monks don't do certain things? Why do they stay in certain places? Why don't they prefer other places? And why do certain monks prefer certain places which other monks don't prefer? Like some monks sit and do their practices in burial grounds and like a funeral, like in between, like shamshan, like where the bodies are burning, they do their practices. Some people, they think that it is like completely like bad idea to do that. So why that difference? Like they're all spiritual, but why that difference? Why that distinction? Why that uniqueness? Or what's their story? So I want them to come with me over there to talk with those monks. My master will be there, I will be there, so it's going to be a very safe space where people are going to explore. Most of them who are coming have already gone through certain experiences, but most of them have went through experiences through ayahuasca or LSD and stuff. And the basic aim of this movement is you are complete on your own at your most sobriety state where you're dependent on no drugs, no people, you can achieve anything you want. You can get the disclosure that you want anytime you want. So you can achieve all those things that you think that you need drugs and people and money without having any of them and still be able to do it. So I want to build that, culture, like that movement, that sense of experimenting, not judging, my religion is better than your religion or your religion is this, that, like, and if things are said in religions, why are they saying that? What makes it right? What makes it, wrong to interpret in a certain way? And how to interpret it? First, you have to experiment, experience, then you will be able to interpret those things that are written in your spiritual scriptures. Without that, you are just speculating. Knowledge without experience is a burden. Knowledge with experience is wisdom. So I want to kind of expose these family offices and VCs and some founders to that ecosystem so that they can experience and say like, okay, like what I learned in New York is about poses, the donkey pose or whatever
Yeah.
pose that is. Like I don't do yoga, bro. I rarely do yoga. I rarely do yoga. Yoga, the main objective of yoga is so that you loosen up and you basically get into flow state. You cut off your conscious like part. And you can do that without doing yoga, right? You can do that without doing yoga. Most of the enlightened masters, if you look at their body, they look like, they have a huge pot belly. Why do they have pot bellies? They sit and meditate for weeks without moving. They don't move an inch for weeks. They're out, and their body kind of get accustomed to kind of certain kind of things. They don't do yoga and stuff. So I want to explore them to explore that narrative that hey, you don't have to be, if you want to be flexible, you want to do yoga, it's good, fine, it's fine. You want to center yourself, you want to be aware, do meditation, it's fine, fine. But want them to understand the basics of why you do certain things, why you don't do certain things. And something that is prescribed to me can go totally against you. So you need a different kind of prescription than what was prescribed to me. And my prescription might change with time because if I follow that prescription, then my body mind structure will change with time. So we are evolving creatures, and our practices have to evolve, our thought process have to evolve, and everything evolves. So to bring that perspective of experiment and observe and reinvent what you do and reinvent yourself, that culture is strong in Himalayas. That emphasis is strong in Himalayas. You can find people from different beliefs, like people from Buddhist, Jewish, Hinduism, Sufism, all you can find all these people, six like in the same people, same place. You can find them trying to do their own paths, trying to do their own practices. But I was asked to do like become a saint or monk, whatever it is. But I'm not asking people to come and be a monk or stuff like that. I'm just asking people to come and say, put yourself self into those shoes. Maybe you can pick one or two things that you can take back and apply it in your in your life. It can be in your personal life, it can be in your professional life. Like I use my readings to decide which meetings I should do, which people I should avoid. I literally walk into a room and I literally rotate my hand, and wherever my hand feels like vibrating, I go in that direction and meet a random person. And I end up meeting a family office guy who's kind of like obsessed with spirituality or spiritualism because I'm trying to raise funds and I'm into spirituality, so we are highly aligned. So those kind of things can happen if you can bring those learnings. And
Yeah, yeah, no,
and
yeah, no, I mean, it's such a tough mental battle to start a company. I mean, day in and day out, every time you hit some new issue that you've never seen before, and it just feels impossible. So to throw in, a better framework how to operate and keep your mental mindset in the right shape, I mean, that has to be, I mean, having that good mindset has got to be the toughest part of starting a company. And so if you can create something, a framework, or not create it, but share it with people to adopt so that they can, you know, just as a foundation, just to starting off, already have that down. I mean, that's half the battle. So I think that'd be huge in that sense. And then plus just for people's well-being, I mean, just to not be depressed with the ups and downs of starting a company, all the anxiety, it's just a good thing for people. And then on top of all that, of course, they've got AI coming in. There's going to be a lot of big decisions being made by these startup founders that are working on these AI startups. I would like if they were in a good mindset when they're, bringing about artificial super intelligence so that nothing bad happens. So I think definitely for the startup community, they could definitely learn how benefit a lot from learning a better framework for how to think about things and how to navigate either, psychologically or spiritually. So I think it sounds like an awesome idea. You're obviously incredibly passionate about it. So yeah, definitely we'll have to I'll have to have you back on in a year from now and see how it's all turned out. When is your trip to the Himalayas? I'd like to talk
it's
with you
it's
after.
happening in November 8th to 19th. So I don't see any difference between a startup founder and a monk.
Yeah,
They're the same. The monks do their practices in a cave or in a room. The startup founder is building and doing everything, and they basically they basically cut parts of themselves to get that disclosure, that
right.
get that big win. So startup founders are like, are going through a very spiritual process, and they if they have to like become this founder, which is like basically a capitalist monk, then it's good to have those tools. Like Sam Altman is saying about wiping the next set of AI companies with his next update. And every update is like a huge jerk to, like all these AI companies. And it's scary. You're right. Like people go through a lot, especially founders. People like it's sometimes it can get really lonely where you don't have people that you can depend on. Like sometimes your parents might not be supportive. You might not be having any girlfriend. Your friends might have like, kind of abandoned you because you don't roam out with them anymore. And you might have ended up with a shitty business partner who ended up backstabbing you. And like, a lot of things can go horribly wrong. And if you are highly centered and highly intuitive to make better decisions, then I think it will get a little bit easier to kind of like progress, because when you're very aware about people and situations and stuff, you make better decisions than compared to people who make decisions on a probability. And let's be honest, the game theory, probability, they all sound good, especially when there is a large set of like outcomes where you're experimenting infinite number of times, but you don't experiment infinite number of times. And you experiment very few times before you die or make it really big. And most of these experiments are irreversible, where you can't go back and say like, hey, I partnered up with the wrong guy, so maybe I can go back and like, stop myself from that point where I didn't have to like, partner up with him. You can't do that. Like it's the decision has been made. Like you got fucked. So move on. The more time you waste pondering over why it happened, why he did this, why he did that, you're wasting more of your resources and energy. So I think that it's a tough place to be as a founder, because a lot of things are against you, but there are really, really wonderful people that come into your life who kind of support you. It can be in the form of a good friend that you meet in networking, like Marche, or it can be a good investor that you luckily got who's well aligned with your values and goals. There are really good activist investors out there who care about what they're investing on, who care about the values and principles and the dream that the founder that carries. There are few, but there are people out there, and most of these guys are solo VCs because like they are like
Once you're
they
in
are
that
so
group think
stringent.
corporation, or you have all these interests convening together, it's you kind of lose your individuality, whatever
Yeah,
individuals you have. It just sort of
yeah,
becomes what's best for that entity. So yeah, no, I agree with that. And if your spirituality can combat that, these big corporations that just seek one thing, profits, and I think that would be a net good. um so yeah, I mean, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. Abrar, it's been a pleasure to. I had no idea going into this that it was going to go so deep into such a deep story. I started off. I saw your background was in venture capital, and so I was thinking, all right, this will be a different podcast. We'll go into some more venture cap stuff rather than uh, the startup story. But yeah, you blew my mind with the whole going to the foothills of the Himalayas and really awakening and resetting your mind. So yeah, I look forward to hearing more about this continued trip, spreading it to people here in the US and seeing how that goes. So definitely keep me posted. It's been a pleasure.
yeah, yeah. Nice chatting with you, bro. And what can I say, man? Like we're all one with different faces, different attributes, and it's the more we understand that aspect, the better lives we will lead, and the more harmony we will create around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put.